Hey, sixth grade. We are on the last day of our studying of Latin American governments. Um, so this will be today. We're talking about Cuba. Yesterday we talked about Mexico, and on Tuesday we talked about Brazil. And if you recall, Mexico and Brazil's government are very similar to the government we have in the United States on many different reasons or many different ways. Um, so today we're going to wrap up with Cuba. You're going to watch a short video on life in Cuba today. And then also attached to your assignment is another Google form where you're going to be comparing and contrasting, talking about the differences of the Cuban government and of the United States government, and just giving you a couple, just it's one question on the Google form, but I do think that this is an important topic. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, guys, and present the government of Cuba for you. Just want to make sure I'm still recording because you know me and technology is never a good thing. All right, we're good. Okay, so first off, here's a picture of the Capitol building in Havana, Cuba, which is Havana is the capital of Cuba. The leadership of the government, the president, let me move this over. Cuba's president holds the most political power. The president governs like a dictator and has absolute authority. So when you think of dictator, who are we thinking of, right? We're thinking of communist type of government, right? Autocratic type of government. The president is elected by the National Assembly for a 5-year term. So the president is elected from their National Assembly and serves a 5-year term. The word elected has an asterisk right behind it, and this is a really, really important thing to note here, that Cuba's Communist Party, so it's a communist country, is the only legal party, and officially sanctioned candidates run unopposed. So where Brazil and Mexico and the United States, really, we have many political parties that voters are given the choice to vote for. In Cuba, it's from one party only, and that is the Communist Party. So here is a picture of Raul Castro, who was, at the time that this slideshow was made, was Cuba's president. He has since retired, and you'll be able to see the current Cuban president in the video that you'll watch. And I can't think of his name now, but it's in the video. Okay, so the legislature part of the Cuban government. So the National Assembly of People's Power is the country's unicameral legislature. Now, if we think back to Mexico and Brazil and the United States, we have bicameral legislature, meaning that we have two houses. Cuba has a unicameral, which means they only have one house of the legislature. The number of seats is based on Cuba's population. At this point, it was 605 seats. Candidates are selected and approved by the government before the people can vote for them. So think about that. Not everyone could run for an office for one of these seats in the National Assembly. They have to be approved by the government, and they're selected by the government, and then the people can vote for them. Members of the National Assembly also serve a 5-year term. This is a picture of Cuba's National Assembly inside the building. All right, so like I said, Cuba's been an autocratic dictatorship. So they're an autocratic government, which means one person, one party, everything rules, controls every aspect of life. Since Fidel Castro used military force to overthrow the government in 1959. So in 1959, Fidel Castro goes in and uses military force to overthrow the government and was in power for many, many years. So since that time, there's only been one leader, Fidel Castro or his brother Raul, who was the former president. That's Raul, that's Fidel's brother. He's since retired, who holds unlimited power over the country. Now, again, I can't remember the name of the Cuban president that's presently there, but for many, many years, it was either Fidel or Raul Castro who had total power over the country. So even though citizens get to vote, and I want you to notice that vote is in quotations there, they do not get to select the candidates or make the laws. Okay? So even though they say they get to vote, vote is in quotes again because it's not really a free election. They don't get to select who the candidates are that they're voting for, and they can't make laws because the president holds unlimited power. So here's a map of autocratic governments that are still in the world. And if you look to the left where Cuba is, you see that it's the only autocratic government on this side of the hemisphere. Excuse me, on the western side of the hemisphere. And you see a lot of autocratic governments in Africa and the Middle East. And you see North Korea over there. But just, it's not, autocratic governments are not the majority. All right, so the role of the citizens in Cuba is they have very, very few freedoms. Men and women aged 16 and older may choose to vote, but they have limited choices on who they vote for. So 16 years and older can vote, but again, vote should be kind of in quotations because the government chooses the candidates that they want. There's only one political party, and that's the Communist Party, that's allowed in Cuba. It's been controlled by Fidel or Raul Castro since 1959. And again, since the slide, Raul has since retired. And here's a picture of voting happening in Cuba. So freedoms. Okay, so even though they get to vote, Cubans have no real opportunity to change their government. Cuba's president and the Communist Party control all aspects of the citizens' lives. The government denies citizens personal freedoms and rights, and those that protest are either jailed or killed. Think about that. If they protest, they can be thrown in jail or they can be killed. The government also restricts what information the citizens can access by censoring all media sources. So when they say this, the Cuban government can control internet, newspapers, TVs, radios, all media sources. They can censor all of that and totally restrict the Cuban citizens to listen, read, and watch only the things that they find appropriate. And that is it as far as our presentation goes. I don't know if I could just get out of here. So like I said, I want you to go back to Google Classroom. There is a short YouTube video on life in Cuba. And then the Google form that you're going to fill out is talking, I want you to be able to tell me at least 3 differences between the United States government and the Cuban government. Please explain your answers. I don't just want, 1, 2, 3. I don't want a list. I want a thought out, good 6th grade paragraph. And just explaining the differences between the two governments. So I think that's all for now. As always, any questions, email me, get a hold of me. I will see you guys definitely next Tuesday for our class meeting at 2. Stay well, stay healthy, and I will talk to you all soon. Okay, bye.